The Trump administration referring New York Attorney General Letitia James for possible prosecution.
Letitia James, a totally corrupt politician, won in court against President Trump on charges involving documents.
We've got another Fox News panel to hop into. This one speaking about Trump, again, hoping to weaponize the DOJ against his political enemies. Now, what was that about? Biden doing it? But this time he's hoping to point them at Letitia James. So leave us a like on the video if you can. We'd appreciate it. It's free. It helps us out a ton. And we'll get right into this with some fact checks very much needed.
The Trump administration referring New York Attorney General Letitia James for possible prosecution over suspected, get this, fraud over a mortgage on a house in Virginia.
Todd Pyro joins us now with the details. Todd?
Good morning to all four of you. Remember that song from the 90s, Things That Make You Go, This is that. The Ingram angle obtaining documents from the Federal Housing Finance Agency accusing James of, quote, falsifying records in order to meet certain lending requirements and receive favorable loan terms. Now, here is what she's accused of doing. 1, listing a home in Virginia as her primary residence in 2023 while serving as New York's top prosecutor. 2, James reportedly also listed her father as her husband on mortgage applications. And 3, the Federal Housing Finance Agency says she bought a 5-family home in Brooklyn, but misrepresented the same property as only having 4 units.
Let's highlight the MAGA game right here, because this has actually been a frequent thing that Letitia James has dealt with since she won her case against Trump. Mind you, none of the complaints since then of this exact thing have amounted to literally anything. None of them are credible, but Fox is now running this as, haha, Letitia James corrupt because fraud, despite literally saying for months that fraud isn't even a big deal, that it's not a big deal to inflate your assets or banks or do whatever. Like, they made a deal on a private terms. The government shouldn't overstep into that, but now because they can attach it to a Democrat, of course, it's newsworthy. Also funny that when they're talking about this, they leave out how the claims have already been disproven. Her mortgage agreement didn't require that to be her primary residence. She filled out that it wasn't on a separate form. The building was actually indeed only 4 units. This is never going to amount to charges. They're not even going to try a trial, nothing like that, nothing of the sort, because it's fabricated, right? But we're supposed to believe that this is a big deal. But Trump losing a fraud lawsuit, getting 34 felony counts for essentially fraud, falsifying business records, that merits him the presidency?
This, of course, is a role reversal of sorts for James. In 2022, she won a $454 million civil fraud judgment against President Trump and the Trump Organization, stating he falsified business records and misrepresented his net worth. That case currently on appeal. James frequently sat in the courtroom throughout those proceedings. No love lost between the two, as you can see in some of these pictures. President Trump reacting to the new accusations against her, writing on Truth Social. Letitia James, a totally corrupt politician, should resign from her position as New York State Attorney General immediately. Everyone is trying to make New York great again, and it can never be done with this wacky crook in office.
It's the lack of self-awareness for me. That's what makes this hilarious. An unproven allegation against Letitia James is enough to make her a corrupt politician who should resign. But Trump being found in a court of law to have committed fraud and felony falsifying of business records means he deserves the White House. You guys either care about fraud or you don't, right? Like, just stick to it. I just wish that these people could just stick to a position. Now, I don't know if my brain's just cooked or if I'm on to something here, but I think conservative media does this specifically to give talking points to the base because all it cares about is optics, online optics specifically, because now this creates argumentation lines against the left when the left calls Trump a fraud because MAGA can go, but Letitia James. And then they feel like they get a win because the liberal response is either, well, if she did fraud, then she should be arrested, which validates all Dems do fraud too, so not bad when Trump does it. Or, well, the charges against Letitia aren't real or aren't legit, which then they feel validates them saying that Trumps are fake, when in reality, I mean, the least bit of critical thinking would show you that these two are hardly comparable.
There she is on an application. She says that her occupation is Attorney General for the state of New York. But at the same time, she says, my primary residence is in Virginia? Huh?
And I want to be clear. I think I may have said 2002. I believe it was 2003 that the case against Trump started. That is when she applied for this. So the fact that she accused and won in court against President Trump on charges involving documents, The fact that she then apparently, reportedly, misrepresented herself on documents speaks volumes, and will be interesting to see how this all plays out.
Todd, what would be the
This is right-wing media, either purposefully lying in order to push a political narrative, you know how MAGA pretends the left does, because every accusation is a confession, or they just did literally no research, heard a claim, and ran to the largest news network in America to spew it. So it's already been clarified, right? It was literally clarified weeks ago when the story first started circulating, before Fox picked it up. They're also acting like this is a new thing. She clarified that the primary residence was on a separate application. It was put that it wasn't going to be, and it wasn't required in your mortgage deal. Not fraud. Literally nothing wrong there. What happened pretty clearly, in my opinion, Trump is having people look into his political enemies, like, hey, dig up dirt, trying to find reasons to investigate them. You know, like he literally did in his first term. And some dumbass Trump administration guy found like the one application where it didn't make sense and thought we're not going to look into this anymore. Like, we have something. Let me take this to Trump. And they always jump the gun and rush to get it out. And it's crumbling on them the second that they did.